Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Overwatch Weekly. Not a lot of stuff to talk about this week, but of course, we'll talk about whatever I have for you today. So, the first thing I have for you is some PTR patch notes. These are from February 6th, and pretty interesting. So first, we have a change to Wrecking Ball's Pile Driver, where now the affected player's loss of air control is reduced from 1 second to 0.5 seconds, so you have more ability to escape Pile Driver, which is interesting. I don't think it's a bad change. I haven't really tried it out yet, so I'm curious to see how it is, but it's interesting. And I'd like to see more about it. For Brigitte, her Repair Pack armor overheal was reduced from 75 armor to 50 armor, and her healing per second was decreased from 60 to 55. Which is interesting. I assume that the duration is still the same. So it's not like the healing per second was decreased, but she still heals the same amount. I assume she heals 55 healing per second over the same amount of time that she used to, so it's just she heals less, which is interesting. Symmetra's Photon Projector secondary fire damage was increased from 120 to 140. I don't know if that's fully charged or not. I assume it is. That would be a lot if it wasn't fully charged. Which I think is interesting. And then Widowmaker's Widow's Kiss full charge time for scoped shots was increased from 0.83 seconds to 1 second. So now it takes longer to get a full scoped headshot, or just a scoped shot in general, which is nice. So Widowmaker made a little weaker, which I guess is pretty good. I think these are pretty good changes. I'm excited to see what they do when they actually hit live. I'm curious to see how that is, and I'm curious to see how that affects the Overwatch League, which returned, of course, this past weekend, and it was very good. There's a lot of heroes run, which I thought was nice, so a lot of changes I think will make it stay that way, which is really, really cool. Next, we have a discussion thing on the forums. I can't think straight today. We have a forum post. Jeff Kaplan responded to a post on the forum. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is a post by Mokoko710, which is main versus off-tank separate role queue. And Mokoko says, okay, I've seen this idea being thrown around a lot, and I'm not going to say whether I think it's good or bad, but just curious. If they did make them separate role queues, how many people do you think would queue for main tank? Tank queues are already some of the most needed, so would separating them be good and increase numbers, or would it backfire? If they are separate, I can see main tanks getting games instantly. What are y'all's thoughts? Edit, okay, it seems like something I'm advocating for this. I'm not. I just want to know other opinions on this and what they think would personally make it good or bad. All thoughts are welcome. And Jeff responded to this saying, it's an interesting suggestion, but the more, quote, buckets we add, the slower matchmaking will be. Overall, we want to reduce queue times and not impact them further. We hope this makes sense. That's all that he really said. I actually think that that's true. I think that if you added more brackets that you would have to queue for, I think it would make more problems. Because I think if you... I really like playing flex tank. I do not like playing main tank that much if I'm going to play a tank. And I hate getting into a match wanting to play a flex tank and someone auto-picks D.Va or auto-picks Roadhog or auto-picks Zarya. Or even auto-picks Sigma in a lot of cases. Though you can make Sigma Zarya work in quick play or lower ladder. It doesn't really matter as much. But when you don't have a barrier, you don't have a Reinhardt or you don't have a Winston or an Orisa. You could have a Wrecking Ball as well if that's the way you're playing, but I think that takes a lot more coordination. It can be very frustrating. So yes, I could just queue up for flex tank all the time and get a game, but I'd rather just queue up for tank in general and have to play a main tank where I know that I'm getting at least a flex tank who's decent. I'm not making a lot of sense. If I want to play flex tank, I don't want the queue time to increase. I'd rather queue up for a game as main tank or as tank in general and get a game quicker and then maybe have the ability to play a flex tank or have to play a main tank. I'd rather do that than have to queue for flex tank and have to wait longer, because I think it would take longer. Not significantly longer, because I think tank in general isn't getting as much playtime, but I think if you made more brackets, it's just more problematic. Because then you have to make, a main support and flex support queue, and then you might have to do like hit scan DPS and hit projectile DPS. And I think when you start making these brackets smaller, you're limiting what people can do. And I think you, in a way, then kill a lot of compositions, right? You're not going to see something like Reinhardt Orisa, which we're seeing in the Overwatch League right now, or you're not going to see a Winston Wrecking Ball, maybe, or you're not going to see Zarya Sigma, or you're not going to see Zarya Diva. You know, even if it's not a great composition, you know, there's always a space potentially for it. And if you take away some of these abilities, you really kind of kill a lot of the creativity that you can run with sets and compositions, which is why I don't like it. So I got there eventually, giving my opinions on what I think. The next story is a little interesting one. It isn't really an official news story, but there is a post on the Overwatch subreddit, which is about a workshop mode, and this is by Wangzan, and it says, I made a workshop game mode that plays songs on the Paris piano with dummy bots. With it, I wrote a program that can convert MIDI files into arrays that the game mode can read. Here's a trainer battle theme from Pokemon Red and Blue. So it is linked in the description. It's a really cool mode. I just wanted to bring attention to it because I think it's really cool, and I think it's the best workshop mode I've ever seen. Just in terms of really cool workshop modes. So it's down there. You can check it out if you want. I recommend it if you are interested. It's really cool, and it sounds really good. So that's what matters the most. Next is an Overwatch and Overwatch League related thing, which is that you can get the Goat Brigitte skin on Overwatch. It is available now, and it is available through February 19th. So you have until next week to get it. So get it now while it's still available. It is 200 Overwatch League tokens, I believe, and it's pretty cool. I have it. I got it pretty much instantly, so it is there. I'll have a link in the description to the tweet that talks about it, but you just get it through the Overwatch League section on your game, and that's all that you really have to know. The final story is something that I want to promote and talk about, though I'm sure you've probably already seen it since it's pretty big, but this is a really cool thing going on Twitter, or outside of Twitter. But Star Sleeps, some of you may know them, some of you may not. They worked with Just Teddy to create an Overwatch League icon creator that you can use. It's very well done. Star Sleeps is very, very, very awesome. I've gotten to know them recently, and they're pretty cool. So I'll have a link in the description. Want to check that out? You can do a whole bunch of different things. It's customizable. It's really well made. And I think you should check it out because they're really cool, and they don't really need my promotion, but I thought it would be interesting just to talk about it anyway. Last thing I want to talk about real briefly is, of course, the Overwatch League. I mentioned it came back this past weekend, but we can look ahead to next weekend where, unfortunately, there's only 4 matches. There was originally supposed to be more, but because of the situation with China, they have canceled the matches that were supposed to be in China for next week entirely. So they're not happening next week. I don't know when they're happening. They're going to be made up eventually. So I guess they weren't canceled. They were postponed. But we'll have 2 matches on Saturday, 2 matches on Sunday. It is in Philadelphia. Florida's taking on Houston. Washington's taking on Philadelphia. And then Washington takes on Houston, and Florida takes on Philadelphia. So you just have 4 teams competing. No Atlanta yet. The week after that will be just matches in Washington, and then after that in Houston. So we don't get a lot of these teams playing until we get the Seoul homestand in week 5. So we're not going to see a team like the Gladiators or the Titans, I believe, or the Shock until we get to week 5. No Pacific teams will be playing until week 5, which is crazy. That's a long time for a lot of these teams to not play. So if you're a fan of Vancouver or an LA team or Seoul or any team in the Pacific Conference, you're not going to see your team play until week 5. A way for them to do it earlier, but with the whole situation in China, I guess there isn't a way, which is unfortunate. I would love to see some of these teams actually get to play because they haven't had the ability to play in front of their home crowds yet. And I think that they're just basically delaying it, and I think it's going to cause a lot of problems in the long run. But that is what's going on there. So the schedule I will link to in the description for you to check it out. But that is everything I have for you this week. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. But I'm going to get out of here. Let me know your thoughts on anything I talked about down below. But that's it. So have a wonderful week. Hope you all do good things, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.